right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboys fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face.
Oh, from Brooklyn.
Hey, guess any.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good evening out there, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Any SSP Sports with your girl, Sonia Pearson. First of all, let me go ahead and start it out. Today is January 16th, 2024. And I just want to give a personal shout out to all of my sorors across the world. This is our 104th anniversary. Happy Founders Day to the also W ladies of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Please share this stream. I have a special guest. You see him sitting here to my right or to your left, depending on where you're looking tonight. Let me give you a little clue of who he is.
Field of defense, which has been awfully tough tonight. After Jeff Rutledge at the moment, as he steps up and completes it. Byron Williams. Unless Clement Williams can get him, he's gone. "87 yards for number 87.
You can see it on the replay, right down the middle. We got fouled up right there. Clement Williams did not make he was slowed up right there. Clement slowed up. Now he's got to put the burst on, and there's no way he can catch Byron Williams.
Looked like Sam Washington there making the attempt at the shoestring tackle on Williams. And suddenly, after being ineffective for most of the night, the Giants strike with the big play. Haji Sheikh trying to add the extra point.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have the absolute pleasure of having none other than Green Bay Packers draft, New York Giants on, Detroit Lions on, Philadelphia Eagles, Indianapolis Colts. He's been throughout the NFL and beloved none other than Mr. Byron Williams. Hi, Byron. How are you this evening?
How you doing, Sonia? Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Down here in this cold weather in the state of Texas right now.
You guys got some cold. That's like so uncanny that most of the nation is experiencing the same. So you're staying warm, I take it, since you're here with us.
I'm staying warm, and congratulations on being a Sarah, and congratulations to your Founders Day, and what a pleasure to celebrate. You know, it's good to be here today with you guys, and look forward to talking football.
Yes, thank you so much, Byron, and thank you for those accolades. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about Byron before we get started. He is absolutely a gentleman's heart throughout, even post the NFL. Just a little bit about Byron. He's played in both the American and Canadian leagues. He has a love and dedication to the football field that has led to his post-NFL passion hosting and directing youth football camps for prison kids. He's the founder and owner of Football Mini Camps and BW Sport LLC, a community organization committed to helping youths perform to the best of their abilities through premier football mini camps. He is a youth sports ambassador for United Youth Football. I'll put those websites in the chat, as well as he's founded the Best Wishes Foundation. That's going to be bestwishesfoundation.org, where he has a charitable organization focused on raising sports-related healthcare awareness and advocating for a safe environment for youth to play sports. Williams and his team go into local schools where they host motivational speakers to speak to underprivileged kids. And to learn more about it, please visit anytime bestwishesfoundation.org. All proceeds from Byron's investments and activities with Go Sleeves also go directly to Best Wishes Foundations and Texas NFL flag football. Byron has been an active member of the NFLPA. You see him wearing his logo on his shirt, the Dallas chapter, and he was the acting president from 2010 to 2014 and was recently reelected as the current president for another 2-year term. He has also been an active NFLPA board member from 2014 through 22, and he was elected as an NFL-wide executive committee member with NFL team representatives in December 2022. So yes, Byron, very well accomplished on and off the field, more so off the field now. Still looking youthful, still looking like you go out there and run those yards. Congratulations to you for a stellar career in the NFL. And more so importantly, congratulations to you to continuing paying it forward for our youth, for our future. You and I talked offline before we are alive now, and you clearly have a great spirit and a passion for our future. You're a godly man, and for that, we are so thankful. So thank you so much for joining me on tonight.
Thank you. You're very awesome, and thank you for having me. I heard so much about you with our team, our broadcasting team. So congratulations on all your success as well. So it's always good. You know, they say iron sharpen iron. So it's what this world is all about.
That's right. Thank you so much, Byron. So, all right, we got you a good introduction in. And everyone, I'll put that website in the chat a little bit later on. Again, that's bestwishesfoundation.org again, so that you too can see how you can go ahead and support Byron. I certainly will be doing so. And good evening to our audience members on every platform. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and StreamYard everywhere. So I say good evening to everyone joining us, including my sister Earlene out of Richmond, Virginia. I know she's cold up there. Just said good evening to us. And so everyone share and share. We got a lot of news to talk about, Byron. The playoffs, that first week has gone and has nonetheless shocked us all. We're going to go through some regroups there. So I guess, some of the fans, I should say, need to regroup because I know they were stunned. But let's talk about this coaching right now. Bill Belichick supposedly has interviewed with the Falcons, or should I say he interviewed them. Right. He basically told them, I guess a reiteration of, us beating you guys in the Super Bowl, you don't have a quarterback for me. What are your thoughts on Bill Belichick? Does he land with the Falcons, or is there too much, drama there surrounding that? Or just where do you see Belichick going in the league? He is out of a job.
Absolutely. And, Bill Belichick with me with the New York Giants, I mean, he was our defense coordinator when I was playing with the Giants, and I've been knowing Bill forever. Saw him at the Super Bowl last year before last, and he's such a dynamic guy. And he's kind of like Bill Parcells, no nonsense. And I think he wants a job that he can make all the decisions as far as players that he want to bring in, players, the types of things that he's looking for in players. And he's very important. He's very businesslike on making sure that players stay focused on the task at hand. And so I'm thinking that Atlanta, I would think it might be a good fit for him, but ever since the Cowboys lost that game, I mean, his name been popping up everywhere. So I think he will be, he will be a coach somewhere. I just think he got to be somewhere where he would fit. I don't know if he'll come here in Dallas where Bill Parcells was, because Bill Parcells and Jerry Jones, it didn't work out the way they thought it was going to work out. But I'm thinking that Bill Belichick might fit better in Atlanta. I mean, it might be a perfect fit because Atlanta got a lot of good players, a lot of good talent. I just think Atlanta just got to find that right quarterback to bring them to the up to par to where Brady brought the New England Patriots.
You're right, and that has been the demon, so to speak, that Atlanta has dealt with, not just this season, but in seasons past. We know they just got rid of Arthur Smith, who finished the last 3 seasons, every year that he coached, 7-10. And so there has to be an answer. It's definitely not Ritter. Mariota walked when they benched him last year and brought Ritter in. They got Taylor Heineke from the Commanders, who was also a Carolina Panther, and he's just an interim, to be honest. He's not a franchise quarterback at all. There is so many issues that not only them, but a lot of teams right now, Panthers included, we have a quarterback, but our front office is a mess. General manager, coaching, offensive coordinator, like you name it. And I just heard today that the Saints also fired their offensive coordinator. I thought it would be their coach, but it was the offensive coordinator today. Yeah. So the NFC South, just with that in mind, appeared to be in shambles, but Tampa Bay has moved on and in fact unseated who a lot of us thought at least mid-season was a formidable team for the Super Bowl, and then they lost the last 5 and then 6 of the last 6 and 6 of the last 7, and there's something going on in Philadelphia. I don't know. It has to be beyond Jalen Hurts' finger. What in the world is going on with that loss? Tampa Bay moves on.
Yeah, they right now they're saying the defense coordinator and offense coordinator, of course, they are inconsistent with play calling. Seem like the players are not all in. Seem like they lost a lot of momentum. Whenever you lose 6 of the last 7 games, like they have, and the Giants beat them the last game of the season, and then they finished 5th in the NFC division. That speaks that there's something internal. I mean, it should start with the head coaches, and of course, they're gonna be pointing fingers, and expectation is huge. And one of the things that I know as a former player, once you go to the Super Bowl, it's hard to repeat or go back to the Super Bowl. So, Jalen Hurts, he fell off on how he was playing from the first 11 games of the season to the last 6 or 7 games. So, I think he might have got sick towards the end. And then, of course, those injuries, the fingers injury and things like that do affect the player. But yet, they have a lot of inconsistency in the play calling and being consistent on, bringing these players, make sure these players are focused. And a lot of things, too. I always look at the defense, and I always look at the special teams, especially when you hit the playoffs. You got to be consistent, and you got to have a good running game. So they seemed like their game plan was really fell through at the end of the season, and they were playing with no momentum. I mean, for them to play the way they were playing and making the stupid mistakes, and I understand AJ Green wasn't there, so it was a lot of things that happened that I think wasn't the head coach's fault. There's a lot of things that probably consider that affected the team more so than anything else. So,
yeah, and I think that the fact that AJ Brown was out did actually shape them a little bit more than what they thought. Yeah. You mentioned that Jalen was sick. We saw that he traveled separately back when they played the Seahawks. He was sick with some viral infection. And we know sometimes people kind of linger with that long after the quarantine or what so have you. They never said what type of virus it was. Let's be clear. I'm not saying that, but just you still have to, when you're sick like that, you have to kind of, stay away from people. So no matter what it was, he was contagious. But we saw him play in that game. We saw the momentum. You as a player had to have played at some point in your career sick, under the weather, headache, what have you. What type of toll does that take on your body when you're out there trying to play in that type of environment? Now, back then, it wasn't as cold as it is now, but you have to think with the time travel. I know Jim talks about that a lot. Jim Jeffcoat, who's on the Big Sunday Morning Football Show, talks about the time travel as well that could take a toll on your body. And when they're traveling literally by coastal, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that had anything to do with as well as him being sick? And how would he even rebound from that? Because that's been a few weeks now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I know the team went out to Seattle the day before, and he went the next day on a separate flight. It really, playing sick or playing with a bug, having to take all that medicine just to get back up to par. Your body loses a lot of fluid. You're feeling weak, lightheadedness and things like that, dizziness sometimes, and you're not can play 100%. So even if you're playing 70% or 80%, that still takes a lot with his responsibility on play calling and making sure that the offensive line and the receivers are all on the same page. And sometimes you have to take do the audibles, the way you have to change play in the middle of middle of the call. So I think that affected them. I think that was part of them losing a lot of momentum. I mean, you have to go and win games like Seattle. You know, they was all running, trying to get in the wild card, either get the division champion or either get in a position to be in the playoffs. And so it's very important. And that you could tell that it was just a different type of game for him when he was having to go out there and he would come back and sit on the bench and be by himself. And, so it was unusual to see that type of situation. So you definitely, I felt sorry for him, but yet, I think the trainer and the coaches and the medical staff need to be on the same page when something like that happens.
And that's what I was going to say as well. It literally was. I'm not an Eagles fan or dislike or whatever, but I do like Jalen Hurts, and it was really sombering to see him in that capacity. Jason Kelsey, we saw a different glimpse of him at the end of that game. Tearful, emotional. I think it went a little bit beyond the fact that they lost. Jason hinted around last season about not coming back. There's been conversations. Will this be, in fact, it? He's even made conversations in the past like, hey, when it's it, you guys are going to know. Saw him hugging the offensive coordinator before he left the field and, in fact, shaking a couple of fans' hands. Have we seen the last of Jason?
I think so. I think, 7 Pro Bowl season. This was his 12th year, 13th year. And I think that, football do take a toll. So when you get around that 35, 36 year old type of football player, you have to make decisions. It's a year in and year out decision. And I think today I thought a couple of news reporters said they think he has retired. And and so I just think that, unless they can find a good center to come in and play, or they might can talk him to come back for this next run. I still think Philadelphia got enough in the tank that they can be a Super Bowl contender. Because I think, the Giants and the Washington team, and of course Dallas, I think the Eagles still can be on top of that division, the NFC East. So I'm thinking that I think Jason will still might make up his mind, but when you lose, you have that thought. Say, I'm tired of this. I think I'm gonna move on, do something else, focus on my family, etc., etc. But I'm thinking too that he might have had enough.
Yeah, he looks like it. We kind of saw that just a little bit. I think he was motivated in the last Super Bowl run when he knew he was playing his brother in the Super Bowl, and I think the hypeness around that. I think that was the reason why he stayed even then, knowing that it was kind of making history with both of them being there. They did ask Jalen Hurts, did he know anything about Sirianni possibly leaving? And he gave a very vague answer. He was like, oh, wait, he's going somewhere. But they asked him, would you mind, would you want to play for him? And he still never really answered the question, unlike Mike Tomlin's guys. Cam Hayward was like, no, I don't want to play for anyone else. TJ Watt, even though he's injured, I don't want to play for anyone else. They were adamant. Mike Tomlin has 1 year left on his contract. But that wasn't the same vibe with the Eagles. It was more like Jalen Hurts said, yes, some of this is on me, but we're messed up across the board. Does Sirianni come back next year?
I think so. I just think, too, you have to blame more of the offensive and defense coordinator than him. I think he might need to get in a position where he get more involved with what's going on and being updated instead of just being on the sideline, just being a manager. I think, you have to be engaged, whether you're on the offensive side or defensive side of the ball as a coach. I think that's kind of where he lost momentum. I think if you look at the coaching staff, I think they had a lot of inexperience. They didn't have a good game plan. And when I look at games, I always look to see if they are predictable. But, another thing, they lost A.J. Brown. So I'm thinking it was a combination of things. I just think he have to go and find a good defense and offensive coordinator, because that's gonna be the motor to the engine that they need to have to make sure they can get to that position and maximize the strength of their offense and defense. I mean, their defense too hadn't played the way they've been playing.
Right. This is NESSP Sports with Sonia Pearson. I'm joined tonight with my co-host, the one and only NFL great Byron Williams. Please share. Thank you. Please comment. What are your thoughts, everyone that's coming on right now? What are your thoughts about this big upset? how did Philly go down? Byron, what happened? Like, how did Tampa, the king of the toilet bowl, so to speak, our entire division is in shambles.
Right.
We were written off a long time ago, and in fact, against the Panthers, the Bucks only put up 9 points, and the Panthers had 2 touchdowns recalled that should have been ours. And Baker's playing with bruised ribs and a sprained ankle, but he gets it done. Is it basically because we don't play quarterback to quarterback all the time because the offense and defense play each other?
Right.
How did Baker and the Bucks pull this off with Fletcher Cox and the once reigning top 5 defense in the Eagles? What actually happened?
Well, I just think, Tampa Bay came in with a good plan, game plan. And, I always I love Tampa Bay receivers. I mean, I love them. I love the way they stretch the field. And Baker Mayfield he's point on. I mean, he had 330 yards, and he was consistently, throwing that ball right there where the guys can catch it and run with it. And I think they had the momentum, and that's I had predicted New Orleans Saints to win that division before the season started. But that's what I predicted, and I was thinking that Atlanta might give some people some trouble. But I was saying, Tampa Bay will be 8-9. They finished 9-8. But my point was that division could have went either way with those teams. Either way, I mean, Atlanta could have made the playoff. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and everybody slipped the Panthers, I think. But anyway, to make a long story short, I hate to say that about the Panthers. I know you're the Panther fan.
Yes,
but,
okay.
They got great things. I think they're gonna have some great things ahead of them as well. But Tampa Bay, they took advantage of playing at home, and that's another thing. I think too, when you plan in the postseason, in the playoffs, playing at home is so important. If you stop to look at it, Sonya, every team that played at home won except the Cowboys.
I was just about to get to that. You were right. You read my mind. And the Cowboys have been notorious for losing on the road.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this time it was the opposite.
Right.
Speaking of, what happened to the Cowboys?
Well, I think the Cowboys were full of themselves. I think they, I think they took Green Bay lightly, and you got to give credit to the head coach in Green Bay and the way they had their game plan. I mean, Jordan Love, man, high quarterback rating, 3 touchdowns, no interception, didn't turn the ball over. And plus, when your defense can score, and they got a couple of interceptions, when you can score a touchdown in the playoffs, you can always have the advantage, and with the momentum. And so they got a jump start on the Cowboys, and Dallas they are so predictable. I mean, when you go to the playoff, you change up everything. And so,
yes,
Dak was trying to force the ball into CD land. I understand CD is a great talent, but man, you got to use some of this other talent, then come back to CD just to get things loosened up. But CD is always double coverage, but it was just a nightmare for the Cowboys. I mean, it just living here in Dallas and seeing these Cowboy fans cry and take off their clothes and throw the helmets and the paraphernalia in the trash. I hate the Cowboys. I'm telling you, it's fun to live here and see the things that happen. So, but for real, I think the Cowboys just got out coached.
They got out coached, and we have some comments here. My cousin Laverne, who's also a soror. Hi, Laverne in Charlotte. Hope you're staying warm up there. And my sister Anissa has logged on. She's a huge Cowboys fan. So is my sister Erlene that I mentioned earlier. It was rough, and you're right. Jordan Love made history, 300 yards plus 3 touchdowns for Green Bay. No interceptions. Jordan Love looked amazing. And so, like you said, I can only imagine they thought, so this is the opposite. When Cowboys fans realize they haven't won, and I've seen this, I'm not calling any names because they may be watching. My family, a lot of Cowboy fans, and because we didn't always have the Panthers, but they're like, okay, Dak has to go. Like clean house. They're already letting it, as soon as it started looking bad. The rug was pulled out from under them. Does Jerry Jones ever see another championship? He's getting up there.
He was 59 when they won the last Super Bowl. He's 81 now. He's 81 now. And that's what they were talking about. So I'm thinking that he will, if he get the right coach or if he get the right personnel. They have to have some type of makeover, because what they have now just cannot get them to the next tier, and that's to go to the Super Bowl.
Oh, and Linda says hi to you. And yes, everyone, Byron is the co-host of J&B Talking Shop with Jim Jeffco. We mentioned Jim earlier, but she told me not to ask you about your playoff picks because you're tied with Pags and you lost, or you're in last place. And we know Pags is grieving. So I texted him. I saw him on TV. In fact, they made I have to go back to this real quick. They made a meme out of Pags on NFL memes. Like he's trending right now. And I love Pags. Pags is awesome, but I'm giving him some time before I reach out, just like I really didn't want to say anything to Jim, but I did talk to Jim a little bit through chat this morning. And everyone, yes, reminder, our producers are logging on. Miss Linda McGrath. Hi, Linda. Please watch on Roku and look for Northeast Streaming on the platform. And then you will find all of their wonderful shows 24/7, the best streaming platform out there. Cannot go wrong. And Anissa saying turncoats. So Byron, so we still have to dig into that. Unfortunately, everyone's saying, my sister says I'm in mourning, but I'm not doing all that. DC4L, is Dak their quarterback? Every year they're 12 and whatever.
12 and 5. Last 3 years,
12
12 and 5.
12 and 5, 21. 12 and 5, 22. 12 and 5, 23. San Francisco has been their kryptonite every time, but they didn't even make it this time.
Right.
And so is Dak their quarterback?
I think Dak is. I mean, I'm a fan of Dak. So I believe he's the guy. Also, when you have 9 Pro Bowlers on your team, it has to be more than Dak. It has to be also the coaches. So Mike McCarthy is probably gonna be gone, to be honest with you.
I was gonna ask you about that.
And I think Dak just need to get another thing Dallas don't have that other team have. I think their special team is kind of so-so, the special team play, as well as the linebackers. And then I also say that they're so predictable. I mean, you have to change up your offensive strategy, your game plans, and things like that. I mean, if you, like I said earlier, they just got out coached. And then the running back, they needed Zeke Elliott to come in and help run that ball and have ball control and get those first downs when you need it. They didn't have none of that. And then they were dominated by Green Bay offensive line. I mean, they dominated them.
They were. And then you saw the sidebars with Dak and CD off and on, like he was trying to discipline him. And, it's CD like, nah, man, you need to just pass the ball. But then Green Bay brought in their second string. Anytime a team brings in their second string, it's like, I thought they're going to put up 75 points. I was here for it. I was like, yes, run them up, because Dallas has been throwing points on everybody the whole season and not letting up. They didn't pull their starters. And I mean, they ran through so many teams that was, less than, for lack of a better word. Someone needed to go ahead and lasso them up. And instead, Green Bay was kind enough to go ahead and put the ropes up. But where was Michael Gallup? Pollard, like those guys were limited the entire night. Green Bay came and they were like, Aaron Rodgers who? Because when Aaron left, everybody was like, okay, Green Bay is just going to go into that good night and that's going to be it.
Right.
They are not. They are in the playoffs. They are officially going now for, round 1, since they made it through the wild card.
Yeah.
And we have to be cognizant and be careful, because Green Bay might be one of those sneaky teams that looks like the old Green Bay. I mean, Jordan Love did study right under Aaron Rodgers, so he has to have some type of for me to be able to support a game.
Another thing too, you have to take your hat off and salute Green Bay. They are the second youngest team to ever reach the playoff and have this much success. So that speaks volume for those athletes and them doing their homework and them being focused on once they got here to Dallas, they was all about business. And one of the things that we could say too, that the playoff games at Texas Stadium, Green Bay have won more playoff games in the stadium than the Cowboys have.
Yes. And they put those demographics up. I need to pull because I did a couple of screenshots on that. I need to actually pull that up because that's exactly what you were saying. There's so many stats out there about the playoffs in general. I do want to note this is a season, a playoff time that we had like 2 teams from several states. Mm-hmm. We had 2 from Pennsylvania, 2 from Texas. We had 2 from Florida, 2 from California, and then the 1 Lions and 1 Detroit, and 2 from
one Kansas.
And then
1 Kansas.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And so it's like, wow, like this is amazing. Now we're down to 1, and Pennsylvania has no one left in the playoffs.
Right.
But you're right. History is definitely being made. I do want to see this graphic that I was talking about. James Bradbury. I need to go back to him for a second.
Yeah.
He's a former Carolina Panther. Missed 2 imperative tackles. I mean, it's almost like he had his hands oiled. 2 pivotal tackles, and Tampa Bay just blew them up on those. And then, in fact, during the game, he was benched for a second, and they brought in Kelly Ringo for a little bit. And then I saw they brought Bradbury back in later, and he missed another tackle.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do the Eagles keep him?
I think he need to go on to another team, a free agent. I mean, he played with the Giants as well, and the
Panthers.
And the Panthers. So I just think he's one of those journeymen that he's expendable. Yeah, I would say I would look somewhere else because you got to be able to have those guys and be able to shut the receivers down and challenge them. I mean, he made a couple of big mistakes, 2 big mistakes, and it cost big plays. I mean, just think about the receiver that caught that last touchdown and just ran right up the field and scored that. I don't know how long 52-yard touchdown or something like that.
So that's Josh Allen.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that Bills game in just a minute. Josh Allen ran a 52-yarder. I mean, they were throwing snowballs. I was just about to pivot to that because we're at the half-hour mark already. Can you believe it? Time flies when you're having fun. Bills Mafia. They're heating up. People counting them out because they looked a little bit like the Eagles for a while.
Yeah.
But now it's the playoffs. Bills are in there for the 4th consecutive year going to the playoffs, and they are about to play Kansas City. I do not think that Kansas City is going to pull this one off. I think we're going to have another Kelsey brother at home.
I think so too, because really Buffalo almost beat them in Kansas City last year. And they played the last 2 seasons. They had to play. I just think this is going to be the year that the Bills can overcome and win that game. It's going to be a close game. Mahomes, well, he's just so tough. He really challenged his teammates, and you just can appreciate Patrick Mahomes for how he played the game, how he approached the game. So, but yeah, this is going to be probably the game of the week.
And hi, Stephanie Marie. She's a 49ers fan. She's on here and she gives me great commentary. So hi, Stephanie, went to school together. She said the 49ers are it. And they've been kind of quiet since they've got this bye. We haven't heard much from them. I'm sure they're resting up, ready to roll. Now, the Bills game, 31-17 over Mike Tomlin. I'm going to be honest. I never saw the Steelers even as a postseason contender to be really legit. Every year, Mike Tomlin works magic and ekes on into the playoffs, and they give him this credit. Oh, he made the playoffs for the 13th season. Yes, but how far into the playoffs does he ever go? It's not that much because they too are having issues with the quarterback carousel. They had Mason Rudolph, and supposedly he was ready or whatever. Then you put in Pickett, and it's just a mess across the board. It was cold. they're in Bills Mafia land. So, up there, they're still riding house the whole DeMar Hamlin, who played, by the way, last night.
He played. I saw. Yeah.
Very good to see DeMar. Very great guy. DeMar, here you go. If you happen to see this anywhere, great young man. Great, blessed of what God's done for him, that he's come back and been able to still play, and that the Bills organization, hung in there with him to allow him that. So, right. You have to appreciate that. I'm sure you as a player can know what it's like. If you're with someone that they're like, well, they're injured. We think about Ryan Shazier back in the day when he had a paralysis, honestly, for a while. And the Steelers were continuing to pay him for a little bit, and he never took the field again, but he did learn to slowly walk again. We saw that, but they continued to pay him for a while he healed. But to me, during Ryan Shazier's time was the last great time we saw the Steelers. Right. I wasn't too keen on Roethlisberger because I felt like he just was kind of like the face of the team. I felt like he wasn't even really, to be honest with you, in shape to be a quarterback. He was probably he looked like the Big Ben clock, like they called him. Yeah. But what in the world? Like this, Tomlin has confirmed he's coming back. That did come out today, even though last night, the press was, on him, and he walked out. He's.
I grew up around Bill Parcells, and he kind of, when he did that last night, that reminded me of a Bill Parcells moment, because the media can get you really, can ask you some of the craziest questions or say some of the craziest statements. And, right now you just lost this playoff game, and you're trying to see what you need to do to, to make sure that you can, just be that leader and that coach. And Mike don't deserve that. Don't ask some stupid questions. He don't want to hear a stupid question. Him and Bill Parcells, Bill Belichick, these guys, they've been around long enough to know, been coaching 17 plus years in the NFL or whatever. I just think certain things that they don't want to entertain. So when the reporters was asking them, what you think about you retiring? Are you coming back? Blah, blah, blah. That's not the time to ask those type of questions.
Exactly.
That's how I see it.
They actually had that young lady on ESPN today. I can't remember her name, but they got the actual person that asked the question. And she was, no one wants that. Sometimes it's about showing an ounce of compassion to your fellow humans. Just be, who you are. That could have waited. That literally did not even need to be that question there. He's literally like, hey, I'm just trying to console my guys. We just lost. And to that end, they clearly don't have their quarterback figured out. Do the Steelers trade around to try to get a higher pick? I know they probably won't get Caleb Williams. He just declared for the draft on yesterday. USC's own is projected to be the number 1 pick in the draft. Will the Steelers get them a quarterback from the draft, even if it's not Caleb? Or do you think they'll shop around, try to get one of these vets that's somewhere as a backup?
They might shop around and get a vet. I think right now they want to go immediately until that Super Bowl march. I think, with TJ Watt got hurt and things like that, they went 100% full force with their personnel. So I'm thinking, Russell Wilson, they got a lot of players out here now that you can tap into. They saying Justin Fields might get traded. It's all kind of things can go on in the offseason between now and the draft in April. So I'm thinking that I think Pittsburgh might be sitting in a good situation to where they can get somebody to come in and immediately put them up in the next tier for the championship run.
Yeah, they were talking about before. So the one thing about the Steelers, they don't fire coaches. They do not have a history of firing anyone. And they keep coaches very long tenured. Mm-hmm. And we know that Mike Tomlin's been there 17 seasons, one of
17,
those.
Yeah, 17. Mm-hmm. 173 games he done won. He lost 100 games and 2 ties.
See, there you go. So they may extend him again. He has 1 year left on his contract. He said he's definitely coming back. I know they spoke about his daughter getting in college in Virginia, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. And so he had contemplated, at a minimum going to another team so he could be closer to her. But honestly, Pittsburgh is not that far from Virginia. I don't see any other teams that would make that much of a difference for him to try to go to be closer, but you never know. But at a minimum, he is coming back next season. They got mollywopped. That's my word. 31-17 by the Bills. Snowballs everywhere. I'm so glad I wasn't in that stadium because snowballs hurt. And those fans were just throwing them everywhere, like in celebration. And even on accident, they could have very seriously hurt someone. You just never know. You got people drinking and partying, and so they don't have a good cognizance of what's actually going on. The Rams and Lions game. Literally, they ended with the season score 23-24. As of this is the 23-24 season. Matthew Stafford went home and went right on back to LA without a shared experience. People booed him. The Lions fans booed him when he came out. They talked about how he really didn't want to go. He and his wife have been there 12 years. His wife battled some brain surgery she had to have for a tumor they removed. The Lions organization supported them and their family. Then he went, got that Super Bowl. Of course, the Lions were happy for him, but then he wasn't even claiming any of that. Like he couldn't share that celebration with them. So he comes back, comes home, and Jared Goff has to let him know there's a reason why we switched, bro. I'm going to take care of you by 1 point. In fact, all the way down to the last play of the game, Jared Goff looks like he was going to run another play. He spiked it. We're done. I was like, wow. Jared was just like, no, you thought we were going to take it. Unlike the Saints who ran the play against Atlanta a couple of weeks ago. He was like, nah, we're done. We're done. I was like, wow. Are the Lions a legit team? I want to jump on their bandwagon just because they're felines like the Panthers and they look good. So I'm rolling with Detroit.
Hey, I'm telling you, I'm so proud of Detroit. I'm so proud of the team. Proud of Dan Campbell. He grew up here in Texas. They hadn't went to a playoff game since 91, 92, somewhere back in the day. So the city deserve it. I mean, Motown. I mean, just that city and the people who've been so patiently waiting. What an awesome victory. And to be. The week before that, we're going into the playoff. They lost that game to the Cowboys. They still had that hanging over their head. So
it felt like they were cheated too. Let's be clear.
Absolutely. So you just have to just be so happy for Goff and what he did and how he rallied the troops and those players. I mean, just outstanding play. I mean, Aiden Henderson, Hutchinson, and those guys who grew up being a Detroit fan. I mean, the storybook is just perfect, and I just hope they can go to the next level. I hope they win this game coming up this week.
Yes, they wanted to see the Cowboys again. When Dan did the press conference when he balled up the paper and he was like, "We were eligible. We determined." He was like, hopefully we'll see them in a couple of weeks." Well, they were taken care of by Green Bay, but they showed in the in Ford Stadium where the Lions played before they took the field on the Jumbotron was the Cowboys Green Bay game. And for the first time, the Cowboys, the Green Bay, got it all wrong. The Lions were cheering for Green Bay. That's their NFC rival. And they were cheering for their NFC North rival just because they knew that meant they would get a home game. And plus, there were some clips going around out there where you could hear people saying, cheaters never prosper. So they wanted them to lose for 2 reasons. And now Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay going to the Lions?
Tampa Bay go up there.
And that's going to be epic. Because Dan Campbell is, like you said, they've been waiting 31 years. I was in high school. The last time they won, like a lot of these teams have been waiting 30 years. And I'm like, wow. But you look at the Atlanta Braves who waited 30 years, they got their championship. So Dallas has already been eliminated. They were waiting 30 years. The Lions, unless they get taken out by Tampa, are they formidable against the 49ers?
I don't think so. I think they know what they need to do, and the good thing they playing at home. The crowd gonna be in it like they was this past weekend. I just think you got to be happy for Detroit to be in that position, and they'll work so hard. I think they got the right type of players. Their running backs are outstanding. They got 2 good young running backs that can play, and of course St. Brown is a sweet receiver. So
yes,
they got pieces. Yeah, they got pieces in place. They really do. So I'm excited for Detroit this year. Sometimes it's that turn. So I'm happy for them.
And we talk about the 49ers a lot, but let's be clear. They have to face Green Bay on Saturday at 8:15. And Green Bay is not to be second guessed. Just like they took down the Cowboys, Green Bay was on the road. Now the 49ers, even though they're rested, we do not know what that picture is going to look like until we actually get here. We're going to be looking for the injury report that should be coming out towards the end of the week. No big news on that right now, but Green Bay is one of those teams that you do not want to see upset, because if they are able to overcome the 49ers, they may be the same ones that overcome everyone else and go all the way. Switching gears a little bit to the AFC, the Texans, CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, both rookie coach, rookie quarterback. What CJ Stroud has done down there in Texas as a rookie quarterback, completely turned that franchise around, is now going to be facing the Ravens on Saturday at 4:30. I am on upset alert. I know Lamar and them. Yes, I know Lamar and them have been putting the beat down on. They beat down Miami and left them in shambles to the point they couldn't even perform in the playoffs and everything. And that's just what they do. But I really think that the Texans are the team that's the most lethal team that no one's going to see coming.
Absolutely. Their defense. I mean, look at their defense. Their defense been playing lights out. I mean, if you think about Will Anderson and CJ, they both going to get rookie of the year, I think. And I think, that just speaks volume for the young team with the momentum. And they so unpredictable. You can't really sit there and say they're going to do this and do that. No, they're going to surprise you. And what I like about them, they do not give up. They play with heart. So, CJ have 157.2 passer rating as a quarterback. Yeah. And so, he don't make mistakes right now. So you have to take your hat off to the Houston Texans and what they're doing and be happy for them. I just think Baltimore going to have their hands full.
And they're actually playing in Baltimore. It's going to be interesting to see what that weather looks like because in Texas, where the Houston Texans play, it's not as cold as it is because they're in the southern part of the state, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and they inside too. So, but yeah.
Right, and that's another thing. We have that game coming up Saturday at 4:30. Jim Harbaugh. Let's go ahead and dial it to that. I got to squeeze that in. So apparently, he done went and talked to the Chargers.
Yeah,
but Michigan got a contract waiting on him, the largest in Big Ten history. If he stays with Michigan, he'll be the most paid coach. What do you think he does? Do you think he's going to come to the league, or what do you think Harbaugh's going to do?
Well, I think he's just like any other business person. I think he needs to go and see what people are laying out on the table for him, and I think he can come back and talk to his family and pray about it. I hope he's a praying man and then decide which way he want to go. I think his name is even mentioned here in Dallas, so he gonna have some choices, and I just think he's gonna sit down and take the best offer. To me, he's hot right now. You got to get people when they hot. You got to entertain everything that they put on the table before you.
Yeah, and Stephanie says they're not the Cowboys, so they're not to be messed with. She's pretty confident that the 49ers are going to go ahead and handle business and that the Cowboys just got out-coached and outplayed. There are 7 positions right now in the NFL where head coaches are being sought after.
Mm-hmm.
We've already talked about Belichick. We've already talked about Harbaugh. Do you think that anyone formidable, any other names come to mind for you where they will be either a current coach that may be moved to another team or just a team? Because I still don't know what the Panthers are going to do. I was told that we were interested in Belichick, but he basically, he wants control as a GM and a coach. And Tepper is not going to relinquish that. In fact, he's gone out and gotten a professional firm that's supposed to be helping him with the recruiting, because Tepper is known for going on social media and listening to what people say. And so Stephanie brought up a good point. I was just about to bring him up. Pete Carroll. Pete, by the way, they just had an appreciation dinner for him. Mm-hmm. He had members of his past and present players. Russell Wilson came. Richard Sherman came. They actually got along. And he was talking about the Legion of Boom. He was talking about how they used to be. Pete
Mhm.
Carroll was downgraded to an analyst position, senior analyst position with the Seahawks, because Jim Jeffcoat has shared with us that team in the original owner's last will and testament, who is now gone on,
Yeah.
that team is supposed to be sold in 2025. And he, in fact, was released not because of coaching, even though they didn't look that good. He was released because of non-football reasons. Do you think Pete Carroll moves on from Seattle, not wanting to be an analyst anymore? Because let's be honest, Pete is up there, but Pete is in shape. He's got the freshest breath in the NFL, probably because he's always chewing gum.
Yeah.
He's probably a threat to have TMJ at a minimum because of all the chewing. But he seems high spirit. He seems positive. He seems like he's a go-getter. Stephanie's saying the Panthers should get Pete Carroll. I wish, Stephanie. But does Pete Carroll stay there? What does he actually do? What are your thoughts on that, Byron?
I just think it's gonna be depending on who's gonna be the coach there. I know Rasheed Morris, Dan Quayle, Frank Smith. They got a list of guys that they bringing in this week. And I just think Pete probably gonna help make decision on what coach they gonna have. And then I think his position with Seattle might be pretty interesting once they see who's going to be the coach, unless he get an offer somewhere else. But Pete Carroll's 72 years old. At the end of the day, 72 is 72. Ain't too many guys want a 72-year-old head coach. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be. It just depends on what kind of deal and the ownership of Seattle decide for Pete. But all the players love Pete, so I ain't never heard nothing bad about him. So I think he's gonna be, gonna be a Hall of Fame coach eventually too. So,
and that's what one of my classmates just chimed in. RJ, hi RJ. He said nope, he's moving on because of his age, and so that's pretty much where we're gonna be looking at as far as that goes. It is because of his age that he will be moving on. But we basically know what it is at the end of the day. Pete Carroll has had his championship run. You hate to see him go into that sunset and retire, but at some point he has to retire. He has to
plus,
enjoy.
he the winningest coach in Seattle history, so that speaks volume for him.
He is. So, in talking about him, the Panthers lined up about 17 people. They had a whole list of people. They had Dan Quinn was on that list. I know they talked about if McCarthy does not leave Dallas, that perhaps the OC and DC may leave. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's probably gonna happen. I think Dan Quill is gone. I think he's I met both of them last year, Mike and Dan. I was at an event with both of them last year, and I just think they ready for new blood, start a new chapter, and I think that's what's gonna happen. I think Dan is gonna get an offer probably in the next 6-7 days. I think. But
they're saying they don't want him as a head coach. They're like, he needs to stay in the coordination department. He coached Atlanta, and I don't know. To me, he did better than Arthur Smith, but Falcons fans probably disagree with that.
I think he did too. I think he did better than Arthur Smith.
And they're saying Belichick's probably going to go to Dallas. I don't know. He's going to want a lot of control if he does, because right now Jerry is running things out there. He's very involved with everything, but
yeah.
Only time will tell. We've got just a few more minutes left here. Now I'll be on again tomorrow night at 9. Byron, tell us a little bit about your J&B talk show, Talk Sports, so the audience can know how to find you and follow you all.
Yeah, we on every Wednesday night from 7 to 8, which would be 8 o'clock to 9 Eastern Time, Central Time. We 7 to 8. Jim and I've been on. This is our 3rd year, and we just talk about locker room football. He grew up in New Jersey. I grew up here in Texas, and I wanted to be a Cowboy. He don't want to admit it. He wanted to be a Giant, but we just have a lot of fun. We talk about a lot of things that that guys discuss for us locker room stuff. Jim talk about flying across the United States. I just think you just have to have have your legs in shape to go out there and run and play in the games. But we have a lot of fun. We challenge each other on things, and we've been doing it now. This is our 3rd year. So the J&B Talking Shop.
And I love the show. I've shared it a few times. There's going to be on Northeast Streaming Sports platform as well. They come on right before me, y'all. So all you got to do is start an hour early and then come on into my show. I'm on at 9. And they come on throughout. I feel like I see you guys even more than that. It's a really great show. They, talk, all guys talk and everything. And so very appreciative for the show. You guys are super knowledgeable. And I watch y'all because, I got to know what I'm talking about when I come on here. So I take notes sometimes.
Yeah, you could be a coach. You know your stuff. So applause to you and heads up for you for what you know. Football knowledge from your perspective is really good. I'm pretty impressed with that. I was telling you last night I grew up with 7 sisters and they thought they knew about football, but I have to say I met somebody that know more about football than them. So
Byron, I'm humble. Thank you so much. That means so much coming from you. I just, I love football. I got into it with got into football really from my uncle, Edward Walker. He's gone on past a couple years before the pandemic. He was my dad's brother. So he's kind of like a second dad to me. In fact, I called him my uncle. I have like a little tattoo and it's a football in there because we watch games together and everything. But I got into it and still with it and still loving it. And so it's always interesting, never a dull moment. And actually we'll be delving into NBA and baseball news occasionally as well as college news. So it's definitely, exciting and I'm glad to be able. Now before you hop off of here, let's talk about your nonprofit and all of that. Tell us a little bit about what you do in the Texas area, as well as, the NFLPA and also your Best Wishes Foundation.
Absolutely. As I got through playing pro football, I got into the track and turf business, put in 400-meter running tracks and turf fields, went to all these schools, and I decided to start my Best Wishes Foundation because some of the coaches say, Byron, we got these homeless kids. So what we did, we'll go into the schools and they'll identify these kids for us, and we'll come in and have pizza parties with them, and we'll buy them holiday gifts and things like that. And sometimes I just release some money for them to eat during the weekend when they go home on Friday. So we have a lot of homeless kids in the schools. So that's what the Best Wishes Foundation is all about. And then we go in and do football camps as well. We just had a pizza party the other day at a school that I went, and we did a football camp. I got another school next week. We're gonna go in and celebrate the whole school because they improved their scores on the toss test. And so we're gonna have a pizza party for the whole school over in Grand Prairie. But things like that I've been doing for years. I'm going back to my hometown and doing my 30th year football camp. We're gonna have Priest Holmes and a lot of guys, Jim Jeffco, all those guys will be there this week. That week. It's the week before Father's Day weekend. So we're going back to just share our gifts, our talent, as well as tell them related stories that they can associate with and let them know that inside of them they are tagged. I mean, they got special talent, special ability, and they're gifted. And once you find that, you can write your own history. So we're always trying to keep it upbeat for the kids to enjoy life.
And that website is bestwishes.org, correct?
bestwishesfoundation.org.
Best Wishes Foundation. I'm putting it in the chat for everybody. bestwishesfoundation.org. That is so phenomenal that you are doing that, Byron. I'm sure that so many people have been blessed by you. You don't find a lot of people that give back and that make sure that our future is protected and invested in. And a lot of people are not aware of the homelessness and the hunger that a lot of children in our schools face. Often you hear about people saying they do food trucks and things during the summer when kids are at home. So it's good to know that someone of your stature can still look amongst us all and continue to serve. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on with me tonight, Byron. Please come back anytime. It's been so delightful. And thank you to all of you. That's bestwishesfoundation.org, that you can continue to support Byron. He also has the girls flag football coming up, but he'll have all of that on his platform. Thank you, everyone, for being on with us tonight. Continue to be safe. If you're in the eye of this coldness and winter, stay safe and stay warm. And God bless everyone. Good night to everyone.
Good night. Thank you.
This is Northeast Streaming Sports.